Welcome back to Silence to Talk. We got Kyle and Dustin here. Man, we just released our 50th episode.
50 episodes.
Almost a year in.
And we have somebody who knows math here today. In Greg Ondersma. And right away when we said 50th episode and we told him it was about June last year, he goes, that's about one episode about right. a week. That'd be about right. Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think that we had this idea and God just kind of helped us do it because it is tough. I mean, like we've said in the previous few episodes, you know, we have full-time jobs and we're trying to schedule guests and get people in, and sometimes you got to schedule it out months ahead of time, and it's hard to work out in your schedule, but
it's a lot, but God makes it happen sometimes.
Yeah. So today, like I said, we got Greg and Evelyn Ondersma with us, and I'm excited about this episode and the story that you guys get to tell today, because it's a story of trials, tribulations, just darkness, and to watch you guys persevere through it. And it's honestly been an inspiration to me and so many. And I kind of want to dive into some of it because we only see kind of the exterior of it. And sometimes we don't know what you guys have dealt with. And I got some questions for you guys, because one that I do want to get to, and we can answer this later, but sometimes like as friends, when someone goes through a hard time, you don't even know what to say. And it's like that awkward, like, I want to be there for you guys, but I don't know what to say. And I wouldn't mind getting into that question a little bit later too, because that's tough as a friend.
It is.
Because sometimes you don't know what to say, and sometimes the person might not even want you to talk to them.
Sometimes words aren't needed.
Yeah. So I just thought, we could start out with how you grew up. It doesn't take long before you guys are married, because you got married at 18 and 19 years old.
Young age.
And so that shouldn't take long. But yeah, so Evelyn, if you want to take it away, just kind of tell us about yourself, and we'll see where the Holy Spirit takes it.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us. We're super excited to be here. So really just starting, growing up, it was just we had a very like Christian home, I would say. And then we were just really good at being very put together on the outside. Like we would go to church Sunday and it would all be great. Sometimes there would be huge arguments before church, but we'd be at church and
putting on that smile.
Yeah, we got really good at that. And even like with people we were close with, I feel like just growing up, nobody really knew what was happening at our house. And on purpose, I think, because my dad struggled really hard with mental illness. And I would say we call that mental illness. I would say now, like I look back and I just see really intense demonic strongholds that were there. And there may be some just patterns and things that we learned along the way as well. But I know there's a fine line there with mental illness versus some of that demonic stuff.
That is something crazy though, because a lot of, everything's chalked up to mental illness.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big thing now, right? But like a lot of it's demonic suppression that people are going through, and sometimes it isn't brought to the forefront.
It's scary to think about, because like I am starting to realize a little bit more that especially when you read about it in scripture, that there is that demonic thing 100%. That Absolutely. We don't even see. You can't really see it. I am afraid to see it, honestly, because it's probably all around us. But I'm starting to realize there is something there, because like you'll walk into a room, and you'll actually feel it when you walk in the room, and you don't know what it is, but I truly believe it's there's like a demonic presence sometimes in places when you just walk in the room. Yeah. And so, it's real, man.
It's crazy. And I'll get into it a little bit more later, but just how like real it was for us, and especially just later on in life. And Greg and I actually just finished a book about like demonic, I don't know what you'd call it, strongholds or things like that. So it was just really eye-opening to look back at some of this and be like, holy cow, like this is...
Did you see that some of it was lining up with like what you saw with your dad?
Oh, it's wild. Yeah. We had a friend, actually, I was talking to a friend about it and he recommended it. And he was the one that was telling me some of the stuff. And I was like, holy cow, like I really want to read that, because I think some of that is going to match up. And it did. It was crazy. That's nice. So we just grew up and we were really, it was tough, but we just kind of did it. We put our heads down and we lived life. I know I really went down a rough path at a really young age, which is crazy to look back now and just like how young, like just with my nieces and nephews and how little they are now. I'm like, holy cow. Because I think probably started my party stage around 11, and then probably like 11 to 14-ish.
You said you were terrible to people, and I'm like, what?
Isn't that wild? So many
like
people.
Evelyn? No.
It's so crazy because I truly, like, I was the bully. Like, I was an awful person.
I just don't see that.
It's funny because, I mean, even when we met, Greg was like, are you sure? Like, same person?
Yeah.
Are we sure? Because I had just, like, met the Lord and really changed my life around when we met. And, yeah.
I was just going to say, Greg, can you attest to this? Is she a bully?
It comes out at home sometimes.
Hey, whoa.
No, she's great.
Yeah. That's good, man.
Yeah, you better say that. But yeah, so really just like, I was headed down like a really scary path, and just so thankful that the Lord really intervened when he did, because I was still going to church. I was still going through all the motions of everything. I was attending our youth ministry at the time, and just going and then living the same life. And I would go to our summer camp every single year and then go back and live the same exact life and just be, just seeking attention in literally everything and anything that I could, any person, any addiction, like anything I could get into, I was trying, and just trying to fill really that void of that, I think, father figure. Now I can look back at that and say that's what it was.
Yeah, but you don't know at the time.
Oh, no. Yeah. I was just doing what?
Just searching, not finding, coasting.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It was a youth group that changed all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you said you've been going year in, year out, nothing. What was different about that year where you met Jesus? I
think I was ready, and the Lord just really gripped me. I think a lot of that just started, I don't know. I mean, I just had some really intentional leaders too that were just like,
that was feeding into you.
Yeah. And really just like, all right, knock it off. Like you need to quit, and you need to realize what you're doing. And I think that was so crucial for
what
those
age was
steps.
that?
Oh, gosh. That would have been going into freshman year.
So maybe 14-ish
or something? About 14, yeah.
Nice.
So would you say like the earlier years, those were at least seeds that were planted,
Like going to church, you're saying?
Or a church camp, because you said you went, but you never really found that relationship with Jesus, but it's still seeds that are planted and people are pouring into you, and, a little bit at a time.
Oh, yeah.
And then one day, boom.
Yeah. And I would say too, I mean, it's not that I wasn't meeting the Lord at those camps and that he wasn't like being present and intentional to pursue me. It's just that I was like, I want nothing to do with this. And I think a lot of that was, that was my view of a father. The only view of a father I had was broken. Yeah. And so to think of this father that loved me, even though I had done all of this stuff and been horrible to people, to think of that just didn't line up and didn't match. And I think really to kind of answer that question earlier, like, I think that may have been it, right? Is being able to see like, no, he's perfect. Like he is perfect and he does love me. And that's wild.
It's hard to understand when you come from a rough background or something happening, and like seeing that you weren't seeing it necessarily modeled in your life. You're going to church with a family and stuff, but it wasn't, you were getting in these, like camps, camps, and you were actually seeing it, somewhat modeled. And I'm sure that was pushing you, and that pushed you guys to probably do what you guys did with youth groups and stuff as well.
So were you at the same camp, Greg?
I was, yeah. So that was actually my first year going to that camp, because I'd grown up going to Christian school, and then my parents decided they were going to stop paying for it. And so we were going to free public school. We're a Dutch family, so it's a big motivation there. But no, so we decided to go to the local church camp, and so my mom sent me, and it completely changed my life. Yeah. Because I'd grown up going to Christian school. We went to church every single Sunday. And so I always knew who God was, but that was the first time like I actually experienced like Jesus died for me. Like it wasn't just another history class, another lesson. It was like, no, like Jesus loves you. Like he died on the cross for you. And I remember coming home and Mom's like, what'd that youth pastor say to you?
Yeah, you're different.
And I'm like, it's all God. It's nothing he said.
I finally seen it. Yeah.
It's just so different when you see it.
And yourself. How cool is it that you guys are like finding this at the same time, and now you guys are married?
That is cool, man.
Yeah, because
crazy.
We didn't know each other.
No,
like at all.
So did you guys talk to each other at all, or is it like you just kind of knew each other from that camp, and then later on it kind of started into something.
Yeah, no, I don't think we ever talked at camp. Maybe I forgot.
No, I don't think so.
I picture Greg like in one of in the back dudes or something. How were you?
Oh, I was a shy, awkward kid.
Yeah.
Like I came from a school where I had 6 kids in my class.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot for you to be in a room full of crazy kids.
Yeah, and I go to this youth camp with over 100 kids, and I'm like, what is going on?
What did I do?
We're doing skits and games and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I think this is fun.
Yeah. Dude, the best memory I have of you, and I don't remember, you might have been a leader at the time when you were the tree. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Oh my gosh. He was just
many.
literally a tree, and he's just like waving a branch around or something.
That's a good memory,
That's
Kyle.
so fitting.
It was hilarious to me. I don't know. Anyways.
So when you received God at this camp,
Yeah.
you went back home. What changed? Did anything change when you went back home?
Changed in me, yes.
Yeah.
Changed at home, no. And actually, I would say a lot of my relationships or my relationship with my dad going forward got a lot harder. And there was it's hard because I think there were some moments where like I was just pressing in. I was just really at that time, I think it was so fresh and so new. I was pressing into my community. So I was gone. I was like out of the house as much as I possibly could be. I was going to like worship nights and anything I could to just be out of the house until I could really figure out. And it took a lot of time to figure out how to even handle my relationship with him and what that looked like and how to
and you
how to
probably
interact
can't,
with
like you
him.
said, now you can look at it as a demonic thing, but like you probably don't even understand because it's like one day you're this way, one day you're this way, and there's no real reason why it changed.
Yeah.
You know, so that's got to be confusing. And then you come back from this high of an experience and you want to share it, and you got people that don't understand. And I always worried about that with the kids because they have this real big high experience at camp, and then they have to go back to school and get back into the world. And that's where the devil likes to run things, you
Absolutely.
know? And so it's really tough if you can't get into a community. It's good. You said you were diving into the community with your friends and stuff and sticking that out. Cause, especially if it's not at home, you know, and it's not modeled to you, it's like, where are you going to get it?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like the community aspect of it. I had to leave friend groups. I had to switch things up, and that was tough. It was tough. I mean, yeah, it was hard transition to have, especially at
But
that age.
you had an outlet though at that point. You know what I mean? Like you could to deal with some of this stuff, because I know at camp, you know, a lot of these kids can come down with some hard stuff, and you're like, okay, well, guess what, man? You always got God to lean on and talk to. You know what I mean? And go to the Bible, go to these verses, whatever it is. And I feel like having that in your corner is a big deal when you're dealing with stuff at home.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I very vividly remember there were lots of times I would just sit in my room, put my headphones on, my worship music on as loud as it could go, and just reading the Bible, because that's all I knew to do, you know, at that point.
Did you feel in those moments though that like you had that peace, like you had that person in Jesus to like walk with you through it? Like, did you feel that sense, or were you not quite there yet?
I think it took time to get to that point, because I mean, it was a deeper level of peace, but really like, so I was when I say I was a terrible person, like I was fighting people, like I was aggressive. Like it was just,
I still don't understand it.
I can see it. I can see a little Spitfire over there. Yeah.
but yeah, so that aggression, quote unquote, would come out on my dad. So it took a long time, because I felt really just like, for some reason, this responsibility to protect my family and my mom and my sisters. Just, it was really important to me. So I would be the one, no, knock it off. Like, you shouldn't be acting like this. This is ridiculous. Like, you're the parent, like, and just going at him. And him and I would just go head to head all the time. So yes, there was a piece, and I would come back and be like, okay, Lord, what are you doing? Like, I would be confused though. I feel like more than anything. And that took time. And really it took time until the Lord gave me a dream one time and told me, it wasn't maybe a couple years later, he told me straight up in this dream, like, I was talking to my dad, we were having an argument in the dream, and my response was different to him. I calmed down, and I was very calm and kind to him in the dream, and it changed his tune. And so from there, I just really tried to do that, and it didn't always work.
Yeah.
And it took, there was a lot of moments it didn't, but I did my best to stay as calm as I could with him. And that was several years later, but lots of arguments and screaming later.
Yeah. So eventually you get in this community and you meet this man over here. Mm-hmm. And so how does that happen? And how does it happen so fast? Because like 18, 19, that's young. I actually married Shauna. She was 18, so I get it. But, that usually doesn't happen like that,
Cradle robber.
I was.
Yeah. So like I said, it was my first year in high school, like going to public school. And I remember being at youth group and one of my friends was like, who you going to homecoming with? And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
We would start with this story.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
It was like let me back up. So like the first couple of days of school, I had no idea who to sit with at lunch. And so I was just like the awkward kid. I'd done some stuff with the basketball team in the summer. So I sat with those kids for like a day or two. And then finally I just started sitting by myself and see like whoever wanted to sit with me. And then she comes up and she recognizes me from youth group and she's like, Mom, you come sit with us. And so then I start sitting with them. And then fast forward, my friend asked me, well, who are you going to go to homecoming with? And so I get the courage and I ask her to go to homecoming with me. And she goes, yeah, maybe. And I'm like, this is my moment.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing. So I go home. I tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, you'll never believe it. I'm going to homecoming with her. And then
he didn't hear the maybe,
and
just so you know.
It was an absolutely, I would love to.
He did not hear the other part
and so
of
the
that.
next day I come back and I'm like, we're going to homecoming, right? She's like, no, I think I'm just going to go with my friends. And I was like, okay. I think I can handle that.
Hurt.
I'm like trying not to cry. And I'm
Cue
like
that
walking
button
out of the cafeteria.
Let's see, is there one? I don't know. Oh, there it is. Yes.
That's exactly how I felt.
Man.
But never gave up and then still found the courage to still sit together at lunch. And then we just became friends after that. And then asked her out in the
It was so
spring.
awkward for a while there.
It was very awkward for a while.
So let me ask you
awkward.
this: during this time, though, in high school, were you guys doing life together? With the in the Bible, were you guys in groups together outside of high school and stuff?
Not really.
We were going to Fusion, so we were going to youth ministry, same youth group at the time. And so I would say not together, but separately.
And at least you have that in common.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
That's good.
absolutely.
So we were pretty familiar with each other. But
So you're pursuing, and somehow,
That's what winners do.
somehow you made it happen.
that's right. That's exactly how I made it happen.
You're going to tell them how you made it happen.
I this is how brave I was and also how mature I was. So I get the courage and I write a note and I hand it to her and it says, Charmanders are red, Squirtles are blue. If you're a Pokemon, I choose you. Will you be my girlfriend? Check yes or no.
Oh, wow.
In parentheses, this is not a joke.
Yeah, I felt the need to specify that.
Oh, I would have thought so too. Nice.
And so I
man.
give her that right before the first bell rings. And then lunchtime comes. All right. And this is when I get to figure it out.
Your pits were sweaty as all get out.
So she hands me the note. And I'm like, but last time she said no. So I can't read this right now. Because if I read this,
you
I'm
don't
going to
want to
break down
cry in front of
crying.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. And turns out she had checked yes. And it was just so awkward during lunch. Because she's like, are you going to at least sit by me? Like,
It was so
you want to
awkward.
talk to me?
Because you wouldn't look at it.
Yeah. Because I was
Oh,
like, I'm
dang.
not looking at this till I get home.
Oh, it was so awkward. Because, all of our friends were like, are you guys going to sit by each other? Like, you're going to act like you're dating? Like, what's going on here? Oh, it was so bad.
That's funny.
Well, that led to a happy marriage, right?
Yeah.
3 weeks after I turned 18 is when we got engaged. And then we got
Still
married
wasn't
in the
soon
spring.
enough.
Nice. So let's jump into your marriage then, because like you're young, and at least Sean and I, we had rosy colored glasses. When we went through marriage classes, that's what the one thing that he said is like, I feel like you guys have too big of rosy colored glasses about what marriage is going to be like. And we're like, what are you talking about? Until you get into it and really start to learn to live with each other, you learn, more about each other's past. Like you were brought up differently and stuff like that. Shauna has, broken relationships in her past. All my parents and grandparents were married and not divorced. There's just a lot of differences. and you got to learn how to deal with that. And so,
baggage.
Yes. And baggage. So how did you guys work through some of that stuff when you start learning about some of these things, and how did you persevere? I know it continues, but early on.
It took a lot of time because I would say like I was really struggling with still that control aspect of things. Like I was like, I need to control everything I can, and almost more so when I moved out of the house because I could actually be in control of things. Yeah. So I really just like dominated the beginning of our marriage, like just everything. And I would say you can speak to your piece a little bit.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, getting married at 18 is not for everybody. No. It's not for the faint of heart. No. And I mean, you kind of see a theme of just immaturity. And I would say we got married, I was definitely very immature, had some very unrealistic expectations. Yeah. And then also just dealing with a lot of trying to figure out what life is outside of living with my parents. Because I moved out of my mom's house in with her. Yeah. And so I was like this lazy 18-year-old kid.
You went from roommate to roommate.
Right. Yeah. I'd never lived by myself.
Yeah. As long as you do all the stuff my mom did for me, we'll be good.
Right? Yeah. It's like, as long as I don't have to do dishes or cook or vacuum.
And Evelyn's like, please? What?
Yeah, that's a joke. You're going to be doing that.
So, yeah, we had a little bit of that normal first married tension of just figuring out chores, figuring out a rhythm and all that. Yeah. But tried to grow up and also dealing with like just a lot of insecurity. I just started, we were both doing like internships at the church and just wrestling with a lot of insecurity and trying to grow in that way too, which, I mean, she's trying to coach me through it and I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'm done. This isn't for me. But
yeah, that's good though. I mean, you're working through it and that's the thing about unity, you know, and it's, you got to figure out how to do it together because that's how God created it to be. But you guys dealt with not just learning how to live with each other, but now you're starting to deal with crazy stuff that's happening in your relationship together. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of jump into some of that stuff that you had to deal with, some of these tragedies, I guess I would call it?
Trials, yeah.
Yeah, so really it was, so we got married 2018, May of 2018, and then July 1st, 2019, my best friend died in a car accident. She was a little bit younger. She had just graduated high school, was just getting ready to just live her life, and got into an accident and passed immediately. And then that was just so tough. I mean, we again, like just trying to figure out marriage, just trying to figure that out. And then we were at youth camp, leading at youth camp 3 weeks later, I was still healing, still journeying, like still processing. And we went back home for my sister's wedding from youth camp. We went back to my sister was getting married that day. And then my sister-in-law, she had broken her foot a couple days or weeks prior, had surgery, and she passed away that morning of my other sister's.
Like a surgery for a broken foot.
Surgery for broken foot. And then it was, I don't know how long before she had surgery. I think it was like the week before. And then, she had a pulmonary embolism. I don't know what the full term is, but basically blood clot in her lungs, and then passed. And they had 4 young kids. So my oldest nephew was,
I think it was 10 or 11 or something like that.
Oh yeah, he would have been, because he was 6th grade. He was at youth camp with us. Wow. And we all came back that day for the wedding, and then we're going to go back to camp. So we obviously didn't, but.
Yeah, and she was a big part of camp too, your friend.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And like she was well known, like she was outgoing, like I mean, she just had a bright personality. Yeah. And so
we grew up together.
That touched a lot of people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you're going to camp, not only dealing with like your best friend, but like everybody else has got this heaviness too.
Oh yeah, my girls. I mean, I think my girls were in 6th or 7th grade at the time. I can't quite remember, but I mean, they all knew her. She was their mentor. She was the big kid, that was teaching them. And so my girls were journeying through that loss too.
So you guys were in leadership at this point?
Yeah. We were both. I was a small group leader. You were a small group leader too, I think, at that point. Yeah.
So do you feel like that helped you or kind of hindered you in coping with that?
Oh, being at camp?
Yeah, like with them and having that community around you. Or do you feel like you weren't able to like fully grieve yourself because you're trying to help them through it?
I think I was still very much in shock. I remember literally the night before just being like sitting out watching the stars with my girls and just like crying to my other friend about everything and just still really just slowly coming out of that shock of everything, which I would say arguably like, which this is so weird to say, but it really protected me going into the loss of my sister-in-law because I was already so emotionally shut down at the time that like I was able to step up for my family and be there. And we were able to, I mean, we went and stayed with my brother for a while and just traveled back and forth and were able to just be that support. And I really don't think that I would have emotionally been able to do that if this wouldn't have happened. And not that I wanted that to happen in any way, but there was definitely things that.
And you said your brother had 4 kids too?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the youngest he was 2. So.
Wow.
So Greg, how did you walk with Evelyn through this? Like obviously grief, loss. I don't know if you've ever had any loss in your life, but man, that's a hard thing to overcome, especially young in a marriage. Like I don't know what to do.
And you got to be there for her and be that rock.
Like we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not the greatest at handling that stuff already. So then trying to be there for her, I really didn't know what to do. And so I was just trying to be available because I know there's days where it's like you want to punch a hole in the wall. There's days where you just want to curl up on the couch and cry. And there's days where you just don't want to think about it. Yeah. And so I just tried to do my best to just be available and be like, what do you need? What can I do? Do you need to talk?
And he was there with the kids. Greg was with the kids when she passed away. So like he was cooking them mac and cheese.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the hardest moments for me is like knowing like she had already passed at this point. Like, and I got the phone call and it's like, hey, get them something to eat and then bring them here. We're going to tell them. And so I'm like getting them food and they're acting just like everything's fine, not knowing their entire life has just changed.
Yeah, you're gut wrenched right now.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to just get them something to eat because like these kids will never be the same. And that's just, it was hard.
Yeah, man. And I know you guys have stepped up to kind of like help out with that too. And how is that? Because now like you don't have any kids and now it's almost like you got to help be a parent now. And you don't even know what to do.
Yeah, I think really it was just purely the Lord. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. Like thankfully, like we had already had such a good relationship with them. So like I had already been I was nannying the 2 youngest kids. So I'd had them a couple days a week. So it was good because I had that relationship built already with them. So it wasn't like me just coming in and
being all awkward.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And just even the relationship with my brother, like being able to be there for him was just really important in that season for just, the whole situation. And just thankful that we were able to step into that. I mean, it was hard on us. I mean, there became a point where we were like, okay, we need to prioritize our marriage again. But that took years. I mean, that was a couple of years later that we finally were like, we should probably try to be a married
the smoke
couple.
like starts to clear and you're like, oh, dang, like there's us. You forget about that.
We're just starting our marriage here. Let's go.
And on top of that, you're still dealing with like stuff with your dad, right? And
Oh, yeah.
So how does that come into the mix here?
Yeah, it was really tough. So my dad, little backstory on him, he lost his mom when he was 14. And so losing Alicia, like watching the kids go through that was a massive trigger for him. Yeah. So it really just sent him down a really rough. I mean, he stepped up quite a bit too, but after that, like once everything was done, back up. Absolutely. Yeah. So that was just tough. So that was, so 2019, that all happened. And then 2020, I mean, he really, in my opinion, I mean, we weren't living there, but in my opinion, didn't really recover after a lot of that. So it was about 2020. He had a really massive, what we'd call manic episodes is kind of how we started to label them. And just ended with cops being called. I mean, his threat was always that he was going to take his own life. Yeah. So we never knew when it was going to, like, if it was ever going to be a serious thing. Yeah. So we called the police. My mom ended up coming and living with Greg and I in 2020. So that was right before COVID hit, that she was living with us. And so she came and stayed. And then really just our relationship with him, a lot of my siblings, we just like cut off communication at that point. Like, we need boundaries here significantly.
Yeah. Yeah. I found when you get older, I've had those relationships too, where as you get older, you're like, I don't need this. You know what I mean? I'm going this direction now. So you end up cutting it off, and it circles back around later eventually. Like one of my instances now, circling around now. But yeah, that's a hard thing to deal with. That is.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine. I mean, have you ever dealt with anything like that, Greg, and with a family or anything? And like, again, how are you helping Evelyn through this? Like,
I'm probably not a huge
I'm
help.
here for you.
Right? Because I mean, my family, I would say I never really knew my dad's side of the family. So like my mom and my grandma, they never really got along. And so I never knew my dad's side of the family. And then we were kind of close with my mom's family growing up. But then as the cousins started getting older and making their own decisions, it was kind of like, okay, we're going to kind of stay to ourselves. So I was kind of used to like, hey, I don't trust this person. Like, why are we still hanging out with them? Like, why are they still part of our life?
Yeah.
And so I'm like not understanding, like, just make the boundary.
But
just
I was going to say, are you
but
helping her in this process of cutting those boundaries or cutting those ties and making those boundaries?
I think the hard part is that we just had two very different concepts of family. Of like, her family is all really close, and my family's like
both sides,
whatever.
very close.
Yeah. So for you, it's like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And then for her, it's like, no, I really wanted to make this work.
Exactly.
And so you got that, like, your advice is maybe not quite as compassionate as it should be. You know, it's like, because it doesn't make sense to you. I do that to Sean all the time where I'm like, I'm not thinking in the right. I have to frequently ask God, help me see this person the way you see them. You know, help me to, you know, see their side of this, because my side is never, I always feel like it's not a big deal. What's the big deal? Why don't you just do this? What are you so worried about? You know, and that type of stuff. So it does make it tough to help your spouse make a decision on something when you're a totally different person than them. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were still both so young. We were both in just really unhealthy places. So like trying to come to an agreement on like what those boundaries are going to look like and it was tough. It was a tough.
So when you
season.
set these boundaries, how did you see it panning out with you and your dad?
I didn't know. So really it was just like while my mom was with us, we really just like didn't talk to him. I mean, we just completely stopped talking to him for a season. And I'm a very empathetic person. So like I'm thinking, and I'm hearing my mom's perspective of it too. And just like hearing like how isolated he's feeling, how sad it was for him. That was tough. Like, cause I mean, a lot of the grandkids weren't allowed to see him anymore after this episode. And so it was a tough season for him, and that was hard. But that's when I personally started going to counseling and getting therapy and like journeying through kind of the season, how I was going to set boundaries, what was that going to look like for us, and so that moves into like the next season was like we set those strong boundaries, and then in counseling, I'd written up a letter to him, and I had written it for myself and then decided I was going to talk to him about it and read it to him and just shared like, hey, here's my perspective of how childhood was. And here are the things, if we're going to have a relationship, here are the things that need to happen. And here's the things that I need to see in you. And I don't even hardly remember what was on that letter, but basically just setting like, I don't even
expectations.
Yes. Very much expectations of how things were going to need to be moving forward, and things I didn't want to see these massive episodes or these massive blow ups. Like you needed to get therapy yourself. Like he needed to journey through that. And
was he getting any therapy or anything?
So years prior, he had an episode, ended up in an institution for a while, huge thing. And that's when he got the diagnosis of bipolar or borderline, one of the two. I think it was bipolar at the time. And so he got that diagnosis a long time ago. He had been going, but was not at this point going. So
was he trying to keep reaching out to you guys as you're trying to create these boundaries, or did he not know where you were, or?
No, he did. I think he was, gosh, it was so long ago. I really don't remember a whole ton, but I remember it just being like awkward because I felt bad.
Yeah.
Like I still had this, like he was my dad. Like regardless of all the crap we had been through, like he was still my dad.
Yeah.
So that's where I was really just struggling. So I think he reached out a few times, but when I set those expectations, really, we had a really healthy conversation. It was Greg and I and my mom and him. And like really after that, it got really like, I actually had a dad. Like it was a really interesting switch. And he had, I think at that time, he went to like a pastor and was meeting with a pastor. I don't know exactly what that side of things looked like for him. But yeah.
That's good. Mm-hmm. So at that point, are you trying to maybe mend that relationship then?
Yeah, I definitely don't think I went into it with that expectation that was going to happen. Since I had been saved, really, I had been praying for a miracle for him, right? Like as a kid, like I'm just praying that something shifts and he's healed. And I was really feeling like that was coming to fruition. When we had that conversation, I mean, there was even a few times we just went over there for dinner or would just go spend time with him, because me and my mom had a really good relationship. So it was like tough because, I mean, she's married to him, right? And so that's a tough spot to be in, because we missed her. Like I missed spending time with her. So we went over there for dinner, and I very specifically remember Greg saying, wow, he is actually tolerable to be around. Like that was actually an enjoyable time, like to be with him. And that's never been the case. I mean, that's not fair. There were times, right? There were really good memories and really good moments. Very rare. Yeah. For me, especially, I think my sisters, like, they have a whole different, it's interesting how different our perspectives are on things. Yeah. Same situation, right? But we all handled it. We had to handle it in our own ways. And we did. It's so different. If you talk to each one of us, it's very different how we handled it.
So would you say, like, seeing that happen and that shift and just how different it was for him, like, can you see your prayers are like actually, like, you can see God in it? That has to be the Holy Spirit, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was wild. That season was, I mean, he was over helping me build my chicken coop. Like, he was helping me with my garden. Like, those are things I never had growing up. Like, he was, when we were growing up, so he was in an accident when I was really young, and it caused him severe back pain. So he was not only struggling with mental illness, but abusing prescription pills. Yeah. He was sleeping, like, I would say 95% of my childhood, he was sleeping or awake and yelling or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I would say it was definitely a season that I just saw, like, for him to even be physically doing anything was wild to me. Yeah. So yeah.
It was what you wanted.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was amazing. Like those few years, like few years-ish. Yeah. I remember they came to church one morning. I remember just worshiping, and like I went over and I just stood by him and hugged him, and I was just weeping because it was like talking about the victory of the Lord and like just seeing this relationship be built. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is what I've been praying for so long.
Did you see that in your father, like him building a relationship with God? Like, did you see it at all?
Yeah, I think so, because I really, when him and my mom got separated, he went and met with a pastor. And really from there, I think he was really trying to be intentional about himself in that, because I think he didn't know what his future looked like at that point. They had been married for 30 some odd years. I mean, it was crazy to think about. I think
he was working on things, though.
Yeah, I think he realized he had to. Yeah. He had to, or he was going to lose it all. I mean, literally all of it. So, yeah, it was definitely, I felt like a switch in him.
So something major happens, you know, where along the way did you see it start to change again?
So, okay, so that's 2021 was when we started like having some of those like boundaries and like working through some of that stuff. And then it was really 2022. So really about March 2022, still had just building some of that relationship, you know. March 2022, Greg and we found out we were pregnant, and not long after lost the baby. Like we had been trying to have kids it had been
a couple of years.
Yeah, a couple of years at that point. So that season was just tough. I would say he really came in. So like they were great. They came to our house, surrounded us, and just that love, and that was still really good. But then wasn't long after that, my mom ended up having to have open heart surgery. And really, I ended up going and staying in the hospital with them during that season. And I would say that's when the turn started again.
That must be like a trigger for him, right?
100%.
Because it's bringing back his past 100%, trauma, and it just sends him into a different state of mind. Yeah.
So my grandma, I'm pretty sure she died in the hospital of cancer, and I know it was cancer, but so I think being in the hospital, I mean, regardless, he visited her in the hospital a lot. So as soon as my mom got out of surgery, he went back, and they let him back sooner than he was supposed to be let back. And so he walked into my mom still completely unconscious, tubes in her mouth, wires hanging out.
Yeah.
He thought that she was gone.
Yeah.
And so I think that immediately just triggered everything all over again.
Wow.
And he really, really went downhill. And that was tough. It was tough because our relationship was still growing at that point. Like we were still like in a really weird spot. And now like I ended up staying at it was like a hotel hospital with him. And I was there with him for like a week. And it was interesting. It was an interesting dynamic because I could see like he trusted me, but at the same time, like I was just watching him. Like one of the nights, like his AirPods came out and he was literally watching like how often people die from things like this, and like just feeding his thought. This negativity was feeding all over again of just like, what is this like next season gonna look like with my mom? Like he was convinced she was gonna die, you know, like that's.
Yeah. And if you like, you're talking about the demonic side of this, you know, I don't fully know this realm either, but maybe that's an area where it's like letting that back in, you know?
Oh, 100%.
Did you kind of feel like that? Cause like the way that he shifted, it changed again.
Yeah. And looking back, I could really see, like looking back now, I can really see how hard the enemy was trying, even with me at that point. Cause I was struggling so hard being in that hospital room because I was trapped again. I didn't have a car. We were in Ann Arbor. I didn't have anywhere to go. So like the enemy was trying to work on me, even like of just feeling like so restrained and stuck and like had zero control all over again. And just him like just watching that, I could just see that negativity spiral and his true struggle, right? I'm an empath. So being in that room with him was so hard. Because he was really struggling and it just shattered my heart, you know, like there was multiple times I was just sitting in the shower sobbing because I'm like praying and just trying to figure out like, Lord, what do you need me to do here? Praying for my mom. Like there were struggles like along her journey. So it got scarier and then it was fine. And it was like whiplash, like not knowing if she was going to be okay.
Were you asking for help from others besides obviously Greg? You know what I mean? Like, were you asking for help for prayers, you know, like having people walk alongside you during this time too?
Yeah, definitely with this point, at this point. Yeah. Yeah. We had, praise the Lord, we had such an amazing community at this point. We had built up at the church. Like we literally wouldn't have been able to survive any of this next season.
Yeah. So prayers going out, your mom gets healed, right?
Yeah. Everything. She's out of the hospital. So, surgery went amazing.
But your dad doesn't, you know, that doesn't help him get out of what he's now back into. Yeah. So where does it go from there?
So really when they got home, he just really went downhill and really just started some of those manic episodes. I don't know exactly what happened, took place at the house. But then really just really downhill. And then October hit and it got really bad. She had healed, she was doing better. But still he was stuck. Yeah. He was stuck at that point. So she ended up coming and staying with us. At that point, I don't want to speak too much for her, but like she was done. Like she was over it. She was sick of it. I think heart surgery for her, like really gave this fresh perspective of like, holy cow, the Lord saved me. Like this is amazing, you know? And he was still stuck. And so to try to be in that, I mean, it was a mess. So she was like, I'm not wrecking this new heart. Like the stress, because really the stress of everything caused like her even having it sped up her.
Not a good situation for her to be in.
Absolutely. So, and they said like minor stress after surgery, all that stuff. So, so come October, so she left and she said it was pretty rough. Just like him being very dark and very angry. He was reaching out to me and sending me texts and getting angry and aggressive and all sorts of stuff. And then end of October, it was probably a couple days she had been with us. Saturday morning, we were doing applesauce. We were going to wake up. We were going to like do our stuff that day. It was a beautiful day. And he just was off. He was texting me like that whole time, me and my uncle, and he was just off. It was just a weird, my gut. Like I was just like, something's wrong. Like now looking back, Holy Spirit was totally, speaking to me, like just so wild. Cause I mean, we were talking about it that morning. Greg was supposed to go to,
I was supposed to go with my brother and we cut wood. on Saturdays.
right.
And so in the fall is kind of like our go time to get it done before winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and I just told him, I'm like, he asked me if he could go. And I was like, I just feel like I'm worried that if he shows up here and you're not here, like, and he had never shown up before. Never has that ever happened. Yeah. But I just it's like, I just feel like you should stay, or at least stay for a little bit, I think is what I said. Just stay for a little while and then you can go. And, really it was not long after that. I was like, he had texted me or called me or something. And I was like, something's wrong. Because I tried to call him back. That's what it was. He called me. I tried to call him back. He didn't answer. And I was like, I don't feel good about this. Something's not right here. So I literally looked at Greg, and my sister was there too. And I just said, all right, here's the plan. Like, if he shows up here, window's locked, and you're calling 911 immediately. Not knowing if he was on his way, I had no idea, So I was like, you know what? We're going to go clean out the garage. We're going to move Mom's car in the garage. Like, so he doesn't even know she's here. And so that's what we did. Like, I was out moving the car. And I moved the car in, and he pulled in the driveway. And
you're like, oh no.
Yeah, immediately I was like, okay, like this is not good.
Yeah.
But I was outside. I was still moving cars around, and it was just me and him outside. And thankfully, like, again, I had that plan. So they closed all the windows. They did it, locked up the house, and he tried getting in the house. I was right there. Like, we kind of went at it a little bit.
Yeah.
Him and I did. And pretty intense situation, obviously. But he, like, it was so crazy. Totally God. Because he, like, reached for the door to try to get in the house. As soon as he touched the door, I kid you not, he backed up.
Wow.
He touched the door and he could not enter. Like, it was like he literally, like, physically could not enter the house. It was wild. But yeah, so we just beefed it out for a while, and he was trying to get in to see my mom.
Yeah.
And his words, he was trying to get in to say goodbye. And that didn't click for me. Like, I was like, okay, you want to say goodbye? Like, meaning you're, like, leaving, or you guys are getting divorced? Like, that was, like, my mindset wasn't there. And as soon as he stepped away and couldn't get inside, he went back to his car. And I was like, what are you doing? And immediately my brain just, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's in the back of his car. And he had a very, like, controlling, addictive, whatever you want to call it. It was a control thing to guns. And so I immediately was like, oh crap, that's what he's doing. And so I, like, walked over to the side, and I was trying to reason with him, and sure enough, he was unlocking his gun. And so I just really trying to reason with him as much as I could. Like, hey, what are you doing? Like, and he's like, you need to back up. And I'm like, dude, just stop. Like, it was just a very, like, I'm like, I was.
At this point, were you in fear for your life, though? Or were you more or less
so crazy? Like, I wasn't.
Yeah.
It's so wild. Like, looking back, and obviously there's so many things to look back on, but I really wasn't. Like, I was just so adamant, and it was Holy Spirit 100%, because I was just so adamant, like, I need to get this thing away from him.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do anything I can. So I was, like, trying to de-escalate. Like, I had very minimal de-escalation training. Like, but how can I, like, do everything I can to get it away from him? We battled a few times and ended up, I finally had convinced him. There was a few details in there, but I finally had convinced him to hand it to me. I'm like, just give me the gun, and then I'll bring my phone in, and you can talk to her on the phone, like, whatever I can do here, And he's like, you know what? Okay, like, I'll do that. But don't call the police. And I was like, they're probably already on their way. Like, I didn't know what else to say, because they were. I knew that they were going to be on their way. And sure enough, that was what triggered him. And he ended up taking his own life. So it was wild.
Yeah. And so you have this thought that what you said made this happen. Did you have any guilt from that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think the coming days were like, well, what if I would have just not told him the police were coming? Like, and then of course, like, you get into therapy, and she's like, yeah. And then the police would have showed up, and he would have held you hostage, and all of these things could have happened. And, like, it shouldn't have ended this way. It could have been worse.
Now,
like,
like, you don't, in no way, shape, or form are you responsible for this. And we all know that now, but it's still a real feeling,
100%.
And And the reason why I ask is because there's people that have dealt with similar situations and they're dealing with guilt. And I think it's important to just talk about how you've dealt with it and to hopefully help that person, you know. So how do you reckon with that? Because I know when we heard, I mean, like I said, to start this thing off, that was my biggest thing. Like, what do you even say, you know, other than just hug you and say, I'm sorry, and just be available, I guess, you know, what, from your perspective, can someone, you know, like in our side of it, you know, what is your advice for that person?
Yeah, I guess the only way I know how to explain this is what I do now when something like that, when I hear somebody that's struggling or like they're in those situations, what I do now is like, I will immediately, like, I will text them and be like, hey, like, just want you to know I love you. Zero pressure to respond to me. Yeah. Do not feel pressured to text me back right now.
Just say it. Yeah.
Like, you're fine. Like, if you need space, that's fine. That gives them the door to either respond if they feel like they have the capacity or to not. So that's one thing, like, I just tangibly do, because I know in that next season, again, we have an amazing community, and there was just so many texts, so many calls, so many.
I was going to say, was there a lot of people that wrapped around you guys at that point?
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. We have an amazing community and could not have done it.
So I got a question. You're in faith, right? And did it ever cross your mind or have that thought, like, what the heck, God? Like, what's going on here?
I think for me, the biggest thing I struggled with, I mean, these are years apart. We had loss after loss after loss. And that season for me was really just like, I remember really navigating and counseling through, like, is it me? Like, I'm the center, like, it's my best friend, then my sister-in-law, and then my baby, then, like, and I really had to wrestle through that. Like, Lord, like, what did I do? Like, did I do something wrong?
Yeah,
like,
is it following me?
Yeah. And really just had to, like, get that thought out and just, that's not reality. That's not true. Like, there's no truth to that. And that took a lot of time. And there was still, like, anytime anything minor would happen, I'm like, oh, there's another thing that it's obviously my fault, or I obviously, like, did something to piss off somebody, like, or something, you know? So that was definitely absolutely a struggle.
Well, it's like you're living out the book of Job in real life, you know, because you got
I literally thought of that when I was reading.
Because you got his friends are even saying, like, you must have done something wrong. Like, there's no way that this stuff, it keeps happening to you if you didn't do something, or your parents did something wrong, and you're suffering for it and stuff. And he's steadfast. And but at the same time, he's dealing with those same feelings too. He's praying about that. He's wrestling with that stuff. Yeah, he keeps coming back, and, you know, he stays right with God, but, like, he's still dealing with that stuff too, you know. And I just can't even imagine it, man. And when I heard about it, it's just terrible all around.
I like what you said, though. You said, I knew that there was an enemy that was out there. Like, you knew there was something you needed to combat and still have God's faith behind you. Yeah,
absolutely. I would say hands down 100% that day. It was it was 100% a demon. Like, the look in his eyes. I mean, there were moments where I would reason with him, and then I'd see my dad for a minute. Like, I would see the switch. Literally, it was like a battle happening in front of me, like, internally for him. And absolutely, I knew. People ask me all the time, like, well, are you struggling in your faith? How's your faith doing? Like, what does this season look like for your faith? And I 100% would say, there's an enemy that real, then my God has to be so much bigger. Amen. My God has to be so much bigger. And so for that, like, that specific situation, I would say the other situations are a little bit harder for me, like, with my faith. But this specific situation, I would say, it's so strange to say this out loud, but, like, made my faith so much stronger, because I was like, like, my God is so much bigger than this.
Yeah. And when you can identify it, like you said, that is so important, because when you know, like, a lie that comes into you is from the devil, like, it's easier to combat it. It's easier to fight it than thinking Greg said something to you or whatever. And it's like, if you can identify, like, oh, this isn't Greg, this is, like, the devil is using this against me right now. Yeah. You know, you're not battling Greg. You're battling, you know, like it says, like, there's this spiritual realm that we're fighting and we just can't see. And it's so much easier when you can identify that that's what's going on. Yeah. And so that's why it's so cool that in such a terrible moment, you can say, I saw my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw it, that switch on and off. And so you're able to say, you know what? My dad was on the right path for a little bit. He was meeting with a pastor. He was going to church. I had my arms wrapped around him in a church. And you can look at him and say, he's good.
Yeah.
You know, and people will look at a terrible situation like that and they'll be like,
that's the light side, not the darkness.
yeah, they'll be like,
Yeah.
there's no possible way. Look what he did. Look at his mind frame, you know, but it's like, dude, there's a demonic thing going on here that had a hold of your dad.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's a lot easier to grasp onto that hope that you will see him again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's what, like, actually just the other day, somebody asked me, like, do you ever just miss him? Like, do you ever just miss, like, dad? And it took me back a minute because I was like, for so long, I was so angry. And it took me a while to, like, journey through that. And even, like I mentioned before, like, Greg and I were just, like, finished reading this book. And I would say in this, like, just realizing how demonic it was, like, I feel like I can actually just, like, miss him, like, and see that person that was there. And I think that's what I felt like, even why I battled so hard with boundaries is because he was still my dad. He was still a person. And I think that's why I struggled so hard, was because I still love my dad. Like, I still love that person that's there, choices he's making and the things that he's allowing into his life. No, but yeah, like he's still my dad, you know?
Yeah. And look at the same thing for Jesus, you know, when he looks at all of us, it's like, he doesn't look at all the crap that we continually do.
Praise the Lord.
You know? And he's like, I see who you are.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
You know? And in that moment, I thought back to you, Greg, because I'm like, how do you, as a husband, help your wife through this? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like you were angry a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I was very upset. I mean, I was dealing with a lot of my own stuff too at the same time, because it's like, as she mentioned, like I was at home. And so it's like my wife's trapped outside. And it's like, do I go help her? Like, what do I do? Yeah. And finally I was like, I'm going to go out there. And so I try to like go out the back door and go around. And that's when I hear the first gunshot. And I'm like, I pause for a moment and I'm like, this is much bigger than I even realized.
Yeah.
And so then I go back inside and I'm just like, what do I even do? Like and for a lot of times it like stuck to me. Like, I'm supposed to be the man in the house. Like I'm supposed to protect this house, protect my wife. But at the same time, I'm feeling so powerless. And I'm like, I will never let that happen again. Like, what do I need to do to make sure that never happens again?
But also, like, if he would have come out, like, what that could have been like.
Situation could have been different, yeah.
Like, and those are the things you go through. Like, I told him that, like, shortly after. I'm like, if you would have immediately pissed him off. Yeah. And that could have gone so bad. Yeah. Like, I was able to reason with him. You wouldn't have been able to. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it took for me for a while, is to come to the conclusion of, like, out of all the outcomes that could have happened, like, it sounds terrible, but all of the likely outcomes that could have happened, that was probably one of the better ones. Because, I mean, you hear on the news all the time about these crazy stories that end up much worse. Yeah. That it's like just looking back and being able to see God through it. And I think, too, I had to learn, like, about what real forgiveness is and how much it is just about, like, your own heart. It's not necessarily about being able to reestablish the relationship, but it's about not holding that against them and not letting that continue to eat at you. Because I think for a really long time, I was angry. Yeah. Like, I was upset. Like, how in the world could you do this? And there's even times, like, now that I'm a dad, that I'm like, just think about the relationship that I have with my daughter right now. I'm like, how in the world does that happen? Like, how do you get to that point? But I think, like she's saying, like, just recognizing, like, how real the enemy is, and just, like, trying to see the person of, no, regardless of what you've done, like, you're still a child of God and you're struggling in your own way. And I think it's important to, one of the first steps of forgiveness is seeing people's humanity and acknowledging our humanity at the same time.
It is.
Yeah, that's good, Greg.
And one of the biggest things that I read when I read your story, you said, I know that the darkness can seem impossible for so many people, but my biggest encouragement is that the darkness can be deadly without light. Mm. That one hit me. I was like, oh boy. I was like, light, man. You know, it's our jobs in this world to shine that light to others. You know what I mean? As much as we can. Mm-hmm. Some people you can't help. Some people, a lot of people you can help. And there's a lot of darkness out in the world. And just because someone is in a dark path, you know, this is a good example. Someone's on a dark path doesn't mean it's them. Mm-hmm. Help people as much as you can in those problems and those situations. I get you got to set boundaries sometimes. You really do. Because I've had to do that in my life. Yeah. But, you know, I'm learning now, 40 years old, that like I set boundaries that, you know, maybe I shouldn't have now. You know what I mean? That I still have up now. You know what I mean? So just help those people that are struggling and in darkness, man, and be that light, like you said. Yeah.
So I got kind of it's going to sound like a crazy question, but I think you're going to understand it. What good has come out of this? Because something like this happens and, you know, it's easy for us to not find any good in it, right? But God does work for the good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. But it's harder to see tragic situations like this when you've lost a loved one too that's really close to you. What good has come out of this?
You know what's so wild is like our family really journeyed through that question for that next season because a lot of us had to grieve my dad a long time ago. And so this next season, like Greg said, like there could have been so many worse outcomes. There could have been so many other things. And I think even the things I pointed out just that day, like the switches that I saw, like there was good in that. I mean, the fact that he didn't get in the house, there was good in that. Yeah, like those specific things, like that day, like so many things I can pinpoint and be like, that was the Lord. That was the Lord. I never would have done that on my own. That was Holy Spirit, like in that specific day. But then I would just say like in our life, like in our lives, like Greg and I were able to just take that next season and just see, like be so much more aware of the spiritual warfare and of like that stuff and look at people a lot differently. But then also my family, like my mom is healing and hopefully she doesn't mind me talking about this, but like she's healing in ways that like are just absolutely remarkable. Yeah. Like seeing her growth and just seeing her in this season has just been so beautiful. Like just being like the God-given person, like just watching her use her gifts has just been so incredibly beautiful. And
you got a beautiful little girl now.
Yes, we do. And that's crazy too, because like even looking back, I'd have been 9 months pregnant had we not have lost our baby. And not saying that was a good thing, but thinking about like me being 9 months pregnant when that happened, like that would have been wild. So now we have this beautiful daughter. Like she's just the absolute best. She's so fun. And then just watching like my siblings all like just their lives right now, like it's just been so beautiful to see like the Lord work in our family and in healing and a lot of therapy, but therapy that probably wouldn't have taken place, you know? Yeah. So that's very important.
There's some beauty in the ashes, man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's been so cool.
Just seeing how your family really came together and something that could have easily divided everybody. But they decided to come together. And then now I feel like it's the closest your family's ever been.
Yeah. And even just our extended family, like we were all already very close. Like they journeyed through a lot of that stuff with us throughout the years. And now like just the surrounding of even the community, that's a huge thing. That was a huge thing that came. Just a lot of really close relationships and
that's good, man.
Just people surrounding us. And I think opening our eyes to how important community is. And for me, like how I can love people through hard seasons, like that's been so important to me. Like, how do I journey with somebody that's just lost somebody? I mean, and that's the hard part is everybody's going to say stupid stuff. And and go back to what you were saying of like, how do you love somebody through that? Like, you just have to accept your humanity at times. Like there were so many stupid things said to me. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, and even people
are scared, man. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say like, if I could just say one PSA, like do not like compare. I had one person I heard about one person like comparing like, oh yeah, I lost my cat one time. And so I know it's like, I'm like, dude, just shut up.
No. Like, actually not the same.
Yeah.
No.
I've always said, you can never relate to somebody 100%.
No,
Even if the same thing happened, you're different people. You were brought up different. You have totally different circumstances to everything. Yeah. So you can never fully say, oh, I get it. I can relate. But you can sit and you can talk and you can share your story.
Yes.
And that's what's so special about you sitting down with us and sharing your story, because I know it freaked you out and you said you were sick to your stomach today.
Just a little bit.
I was bugging him for a while. I'm like, hey, shot to Evelyn?
Well, I was kind of nervous because that's tough to sit and tell this story. But I truly believe that God is going to use it and he wants you to tell your story.
Amen.
And hopefully maybe this will be a springboard to doing more of that. And there's people out there who need you. And so that's part of the reason why we do go through some of these tough things is because God designed us to do life together. Yeah. And there's other people, like I said, you can't fully relate, but you can share your story and you can help people through those moments.
Yeah. One thing that combines us all together right now is you talked about community. Almost every story we hear that comes in here ends with some kind of community wrapping around that person or that issue.
Yeah.
So it's the importance of, like you just said, being with others, treating them kind, and being in community together and wrapping around each other.
I think the enemy wants you isolated. He wants you dealing with things on your own. Like there were multiple times where I'd just be like crying by myself and Greg would come in and it would just immediately make it so much better just having somebody there with me. He didn't have to say a word, but just having like somebody right there with me to journey. And it doesn't have to be your husband. Like it can be a friend. It can be it's so important, so critical to the healing process.
Amen. That's good. Can I pray for you guys?
Yeah. Love that.
Lord, we just thank you so much for Evelyn and Greg and this story that they were able to tell. And it was tough, and it still is. And it's going to be something they carry forever and have to deal with. But we thank you that you're there and you're our hope. You're our guiding light through it all. And thank you for showing up through it all. Thank you for those little hints that you're real and that you're there, Lord. And for that person who's struggling right now, Lord, I just pray that you show them your peace. You reveal yourself to them. You show them that you're real. Give them a sense of your Holy Spirit, Lord. And I just pray that you help them just take another step. That's what it is, man. Just one step after another. And I just pray that you heal their hearts and you just give them that comfort that only you can give, Lord. And I just pray that this episode gets out to the people that need it. And I know you'll make that happen. We love you so much. In Jesus' name, amen.